You ever see someone so sure of themselves, so absolutely convinced they're the smartest person in the room that you almost want to sit back with popcorn just to watch them trip over their own ego? That's how this all started. Me watching the HOA president melt down at my wife over a $300 parking fine. My wife just shrugged, totally unbothered, and I swear you could feel the steam coming out of Barbara's ears. Right there on the sidewalk, she starts bragging about how she's teaching us a lesson, pulls out her phone and calls 911 like she's about to go full Judge Judy on us in front of the neighbors. The officer pulls up and asks for both their IDs. My wife opens her wallet, and what happens next? I mean, you could sell tickets for the front row. But let me back up a sec because I probably should have seen this coming. Lisa, my wife, she's one of those people who never gets loud. She gets calculated. And trust me, that's a whole lot more dangerous. So that Tuesday morning when she parked our car, just a hair over the line into the neighbor's space on purpose, I knew something was up. Lisa's the type to parallel park so perfectly you could use her as the example in the DMV manual. This time she measured it with her eyes, made sure it was just obvious enough to get caught. I'm standing at the window, coffee in hand, and I call out, "Honey, you're parked wrong." She turns with a smile, but not her usual warm one, more like a hunter sizing up prey. She says, "Trust me on this one." And if you've ever been married to someone who says, "Trust me," with that tone, you know you're about to go on a ride, whether you like it or not. Exactly 20 minutes later, because Barbara Fletcher's got neighborhood radar or something, she's strutting down the block with a clipboard looking like she's about to conduct a surprise inspection at Fort Knox. Barbara, our HOA president, she's 52, high-strung, always measuring, always spotting problems nobody else sees, just reeking of someone who peaked in student government and never got over it. She starts snapping pictures of our car from every angle, pulls out an actual tape measure, documents everything like she's prepping evidence for the FBI. 10 minutes later, she's knocking on our door, fake smile and all, and launches into this speech about regulations and respect voice, all syrupy like she's talking to a misbehaving toddler. She hands Lisa this paper, all legal looking, full of threats about fines and consequences, plus $300 for being 6 inches over a line. Lisa reads the whole thing, nods, and just says, "I understand." Not angry, not defensive, just calm. And Barbara's face, man, you could see her deflate like she'd expected fireworks and got a gentle drizzle instead. Barbara just stands there on our porch baffled and finally walks away with this weird look like she can't tell if she won or lost. I find Lisa in the kitchen making a sandwich like nothing happened, and I ask, "What was that about?" She just smiles, says, "Sometimes you gotta let people show you who they are before you handle them properly. If you know Lisa, that means she's 10 moves ahead already. She's a detective, see, not that the neighbors know it. Most folks think she works some office job downtown. But what she really does is spot patterns, see motives nobody else catches, and she's got patience that can make you nervous." A couple days go by, Barbara quiet, which is weird. Then Saturday, we get a letter in the mail addressed to Lisa, all passive-aggressive fonts from Fletcher Enforcement Services. Reads like it was written by someone who watches too many legal dramas. It's dripping with comments about Lisa's lifestyle, her expensive hobbies, her social media presence. Except Lisa hates social media, and her hobby is reading criminal psychology books. Lisa reads it, then laughs like this is the best thing that could have happened. She did her research on the wrong person, she says, and tucks the letter in her evidence folder. That's when I realize this isn't just HOA drama, this is about to be a masterclass. The next morning, I spot Barbara outside talking to Tom Wilson, our widowed neighbor, showing him something on her phone and gesturing toward our house like she's running a smear campaign. Tom's sweet guy is just lonely and looking for a friend. But Barbara's using him, showing photos which aren't even of Lisa spinning stories about influencers ruining the neighborhood. Tom buys it, poor guy, and now suddenly we're public enemy number 1 in the neighborhood grapevine. Lisa just nods when I mention it like she's seen this playbook before. Recruit a sympathetic witness, build social proof, then crank up the pressure. Things get more theatrical every day. Barbara starts posting these passive-aggressive messages on the neighborhood board about entitled neighbors, vague enough not to name names, but everyone knows who she means. Lisa starts playing along, carrying a yoga mat out to her car, stretching on the lawn, where Barbara can see her wearing luxury workout gear just to feed the narrative. Even Tom comes by, coffee in hand, and tells me, "Barbara showed me your wife's social media, those expensive retreats, the posts about $500 weekends." I have to bite my tongue because Lisa doesn't even have social media, but Tom's convinced. Next thing, Barbara's throwing a backyard community information session with Tom as her star witness, showing everyone these pictures of some other yoga teacher, insisting Lisa is the problem. Neighbors start whispering, giving Lisa the cold shoulder, and she just smiles calm as ever. I ask her if she's going to set the record straight, and she says, "The truth comes out when it's most effective." Let her dig deeper. I mean, at this point, it's like Lisa's playing chess and everyone else is using crayons. By Friday, Barbara is practically vibrating with excitement, posting more fake evidence, recruiting more allies, and ramping up the threats. Another letter arrives more aggressive, demanding the $300 and referencing Lisa's public displays of wealth. It's hilarious and sad all at once. Monday morning, here comes the crescendo. Barbara outside on the phone, loud enough for the whole block to hear, calling the police about her privileged neighbor breaking the rules. Tom's right there, nodding like a bobblehead. Barbara's got a folder full of evidence, photos, statements, the works. You can see her dreaming of being on the news. The officer Morgan shows up. Young Polite already looks exhausted by the neighborhood politics. Barbara's beaming Tom's right beside her, both certain they're about to see justice served. Officer Morgan reviews Barbara's folder full of pictures of some random yoga influencer and documents that wouldn't stand up in a kindergarten dispute. He tells them he needs to hear from both sides, standard procedure. Barbara can barely contain her excitement. "You'll see what we're dealing with?" "Officer." They follow him as he walks up to our door. Lisa answers, professional and calm as always, hands over her wallet. And that's when everything flips. Her detective badge and concealed carry permit catch the sunlight. Officer Morgan's eyes go wide, recognizes her from department meetings, and suddenly the whole power dynamic shifts. "Detective Chambers, how would you like me to document this?" he asks, straightening up. Barbara just stands there, stunned, and Tom looks like he wants to crawl under a rock. Neighbors start coming out to see the commotion. "Is Lisa a police officer?" whispers. "Go around." Barbara tries to recover. She still broke the rules, but nobody's listening. Tom, voice shaking, apologizes right there, and Lisa, cool as ever, says, "Civil dispute resolution officer. No formal action needed." Officer Morgan nods, gives Lisa a salute, and Barbara's left clutching her useless folder. That night on the deck, Lisa tells me the whole story. She knew from day one Barbara was targeting the wrong person, and instead of correcting her, she played along, feeding the narrative, letting Barbara build her own rope, all the yoga mat stuff, the expensive gear, the staged stretches, pure theater to make Barbara dig her own grave deeper. But Lisa wasn't just letting herself get harassed. She was gathering evidence. For 18 months, she documented Barbara's entire operation, fake violations, threats, pressure tactics, and the targeted families, 15 of them over 3 years, each hit with the same $300 fine for made-up infractions. Next morning, Tom shows up, folder in hand, apologizing with tears in his eyes, explaining how Barbara used his grief to turn him into a weapon. Other neighbors come forward with their own stories. Patterns emerge. Barbara targeted families she thought wouldn't fight back, made up rules, and bullied them into paying. Lisa shows me the files, dates, letters, everything mapped out. Barbara didn't just overstep as HOA president, she ran a little fraud empire. Community meeting gets called, 40 neighbors in the room, energy electric. Tom opens with a public apology for helping Barbara harass Lisa. Lisa steps back, says, "This is your neighborhood's decision. I'm here as your neighbor, not a detective." The community shares their stories, each one echoing the same pattern: fake violations, threats, money taken under duress. Mrs. Johnson, the Coopers, the Patels, they all detail how Barbara found a way to single them out and make them pay. Tom admits he was manipulated, and you can feel the healing starting. Barbara tries to flip the script, plays the victim threatens to call state police about Lisa's misconduct. The operator calmly tells her observing community behavior isn't a crime. The room isn't buying her act anymore. Officer Morgan shows up with official options: full restitution and relocation, or face criminal charges. The community chooses to let Barbara make things right: 30 days to pay back $25,000 to her victims, then she's out. No more loopholes, no more bullying. Watching Barbara apologize to each family is one of the most oddly satisfying and heartbreaking things I've ever witnessed, seeing her forced to look Mrs. Johnson in the eyes and admit she lied about garden violations, to confess to the Patels she invented rules just to make them pay. Afterward, she sells her house, her reputation in ruins, and moves to a place where nobody knows her name. Our neighborhood heals. Tom becomes a protector, warning others about scams. Lisa's respected as both neighbor and detective, and the whole block is tighter than ever. Justice doesn't always come in a courtroom. Sometimes it comes in the form of a quiet neighbor who lets the villain reveal themselves to everyone. If you stuck with me this long, I'd love to hear what you'd have done in our shoes. Should Barbara have gone to jail, or did community justice fit the crime? Drop a comment, share your own neighborhood saga, and remember, sometimes the quiet ones are the ones you really got to watch out for.